All right. Welcome back. What is this? Week
4?
5.
5.
5?
Yep.
Wow.
Week 5.
I'm impressed with us.
We made it, guys. We made it to 5 weeks. What are we even talking about?
Fintech.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Pizza.
Week 5. Nabil's over here. He finally has his voice back.
Sort of.
Sound a lot better.
A lot better than last week or the
Yeah.
first few days of this week, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was one day it was kind of scary.
Asthmatic bronchitis, don't get it. Fortunately, it's chronic for me.
Maybe it's the vaping.
Probably 15 years of smoking back in the day.
Yeah, the Wall Street days. The good old days.
The good old days.
Good old days.
We had dinner the other night with Corpay.
That was a blast.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was really nice.
It was a good
It
time.
was great.
I couldn't believe Rich drank so much that he ended up taking his shirt off and dancing on the tables.
Well, that didn't happen.
Totally inappropriate, Rich.
It was a total scap daddy move. Total scap daddy move. All right,
Can
well,
you imagine?
I know it'd be terrible, terribly awesome. So this week, gonna keep it pretty simple. We polled the audience, and the audience told us what they wanted us to talk about. So, Nabil, I have a question for you.
Is it specifically from the audience?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
I know. Amazing, right?
Audience of who'd we survey?
Johnny Burmeister.
Just an audience of one.
Okay, so Nabil, this week I would like to talk about, for the first segment, what is the mid-market rate when you are in a sales process with a prospect and they tell you that they want, the mid-market rate, and explain how pricing in the FX world works. And we're just going to dive through it. So right now, let's assume we'll role play. I am going to be the CEO of a spend management platform, and we do invoicing and payments, and we'd like to expand into cross-border payments. I'm curious as to how pricing works with respect to the FX rates. I would like the lowest rates possible. Can you explain to me how I can get, as close to the mid-market rate as possible, just like TransferWise?
All right, there's a lot to unpack when somebody comes at you asking for a mid-market rate. So I'm going to try and break this down as best I can. There might be some professional bias, so if there's something that I say that you don't understand, or I know you guys understand, but if there's something that you want me to clarify, I'll clarify it.
All right.
The mid-market rate is the rate that sits right down the middle between a bid and an ask.
What's a bid and an ask?
Glad you asked me that question. So let's say you're a spend management company, your customers are in the US, and they have a lot of invoices to pay in euros. So they want a great price on selling dollars, right, giving me dollars.
Yep.
So in exchange for that, I'm going to give you euros and make a payment to whomever you tell me to make a payment to. Okay?
Such as a business.
Vendor, a payroll payment, Deloitte and Touche in Europe, whatever.
Got it.
Could be anybody, right? So I possess euros, and I'm going to ask for a price. Like, this is my rate, right? That euros are currently selling at. I'm asking for this. And you're like, well, I've got $1 billion to do. I want to pay this amount. I'm going to bid this amount. So that's the bid, and there's the ask. Right? And the difference between those two is usually in a pair like euros and dollars, which is very liquid. Anybody can do it. It's almost instant cash, right?
Right. The bid to ask is really close.
The bid and ask, they're very close together. They're maybe 2 basis points or 3 basis points on a volatile day.
And for those of you, a basis point is
it's a decimal. It's the 4th decimal.
Yeah. So
In a rate.
2 basis points would be 0.02%. So on a calculator, if you want to know how much 2 basis points is, do $1 multiplied by 0.0002.
That's right.
2 basis
The
points.
4th decimal place, right? So, and the reason why it goes back 4 decimal places is because of the size of trades going on and the liquidity in the market. You're talking about trillions traded every day, right?
Right.
So anyway, the mid-market. So if I'm asking $1.05 exactly to sell you euros, you're going to give me $1.05 for every €1 I give to you.
All right.
That rate in the FX market is represented as 1.0005.
Okay.
Okay? No, 1.0500.
All right.
That's what it is. And you're saying, no, I don't want to pay that. I want to pay for my $1 billion that I'm selling you. I want to pay 1.49
995. Okay,
because
8.
it's two points.
Oh, that's
between
2
the
points.
two,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
So the mid-market rate would be 1.4999.
1.0.
It's
1.04999.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It is the middle point between the bid and the ask.
That's right.
Also known as the buy rate, the mid-market rate, the interbank rate.
So basically, a rate that doesn't exist. Okay, the mid-market rate, because I'm asking this, you're bidding that. Right in the middle is the mid-market rate. So it doesn't exist, right? So what do? You can price against that middle ground, which doesn't exist,
Right.
and add a certain number of basis points to it. As me as a seller or you as a buyer, you would want to subtract from it, but it doesn't exist.
So
right?
would the mid-market rate be a better way of like describing, like if I go to Google and I were to type in what is the price of euros right now, is Google displaying me the mid-market rate or
I haven't a clue what Google's.
the bid ask? Like
They're
what would
probably not displaying either one of those. They're
Let's do that.
probably displaying
What
something.
what is Bloomberg displaying?
The Bloomberg displays the bid and the ask. Reuters displays the bid and the ask. And if you have a subscription and a little, trading turret on your desk, you also get to see who made that market, like the bank or the financial institution that set that price.
Do you see the executions?
The execution of the last set
Of the
price,
last
yes.
set price, yeah.
And then within milliseconds, that rate changes.
Right.
Okay, so back to it. Nabil,
Yes.
for my spend management platform,
Yes.
my customers are only going to use me if I have the best rates possible. What do I need to do to get the best rates possible?
What you need to do to get the best rates possible is understand first that the mid-market rate doesn't exist. Okay? Educate yourself on this. The second thing you need to do is you leverage the power of volume. Right? So you're a spend management company, and you could tell the supplier, the liquidity provider, whether it's Route Fusion or one of Route Fusion's partners or a direct to bank, you tell them, I have 200 customers here in the US. I'm growing 10, 15% month over month with acquiring new customers. And those customers have to sell $5 million per month to buy multiple currencies to make payments to their vendors. So you leverage the power of the volume that you have and the number of transactions that you have to make. And you say, I'm going to give you and transact with you X amount of dollars every month, and I'm growing at this rate, I want the best price possible.
Makes sense. So, but what if you're like a newco, a startup?
Yeah.
This is a new product. How do you justify? You know, if you're speaking to Route Fusion or other providers in the space, how do you justify like, hey, I need a good price, but I don't have any volumes yet, but I think the only way for me to compete is on having a good price, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to be able to capture volume. Chicken and the egg kind of problem.
You know what? You're in a tougher position in that instance. Obviously, you don't have anything to leverage against it, right?
Right.
However, there are certain ways that you can make a Route Fusion or a liquidity provider more comfortable. You can sign a longer term contract. Say, I'm going to stick with you for 2 years, guaranteed I'll sign this contract. However, you know, I understand that, you know, I don't have the liquidity, you know, the volume leverage to negotiate a great rate. You make a deal, you negotiate. You say, how about you give me the best rate possible and allow me the opportunity to earn that rate. And if I can't earn that rate in X number of months or time period, then you can take it away from me and we can reprice this contract according to what I am doing.
Right.
Right? So I find the psychology of people, it's buyers in particular. I find that it's better to give a customer what they want and allow them to keep it rather than giving them a worse price and allowing them to earn it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. People want to keep what they already have rather than trying to earn what they don't.
Right. I agree.
So that's what I think people generally, I know I would. I'd rather keep what I have than earn what I don't.
Right.
Right.
So
In a general perspective.
So you're saying, to sum it up, if you're a startup that is looking to expand some type of FX product, whether that's international wire payments, maybe it's hedging, but most likely just international wire payments or real-time international payments, you can get really good rates. You may have to pay a little extra in order for a company like ours or whoever to take on that type of business without guaranteed flows. But basically, you pay a little extra, you get a good rate, and over time, if you build a good book of business, you get to keep that rate, if not potentially improve it.
Yes. That's exactly it.
Nice.
If your business does well and everyone's got some great ideas and, you know, put great teams together, all our customers do at least, yeah, you get more leverage if you're successful.
That's
to get
cool.
an even better rate or a better deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to give a little, take a little.
Yeah.
Right? That's always the case. You can't just come at me saying, I want everything at X dollars and free.
Now,
and
there are some,
and I want to keep it forever.
There are some people in the space
Yeah.
that do give away pricing.
Yeah.
So that's something else I wanted to talk about. In general, when you're coming to a payments company, such as Route Fusion, we have very fixed costs, right? So any provider that you go to, right, you have implementation costs, you have engineering support costs, you have customer success support costs, you have general just compliance costs. And so a common theme that I see is founders with early stage companies that don't understand the space. They come in and they're shocked at the sticker price of the initial like monthly minimum or the platform fee because they think, well, I can't afford that. But the reality is those platform fees or those monthly minimums are cheaper than if you were to hire a full-time or 2 or 3 full-time engineers, customer service people, traders, etc. A lot cheaper to do that than than if you were to sort of quote unquote build it yourself. Now, where am I going with this? It'd be nice if people would just, not push back whatever pricing
It'd
is
be
presented
nice,
to
but
them.
that comes down to us explaining,
Yeah.
right, effectively, the value that companies like Route Fusion or our partners bring to the table.
So I have a question, Rich. Nabil just closes this new spend management company, right? Mm-hmm. They are wanting to go live in a month.
Okay.
Walk me through what has to happen on the engineering side and the implementation side that you and your team are going to do in order to get them live, and also the commitment that has to happen on the customer side, right? Mm-hmm. What has to happen there?
Well, first, no matter the team, whether it be Route Fusion or whatnot, you need to allocate resources that are dedicated to getting that customer live. Whether they're doing it for one customer or several customers, you still have folks that are dedicated to getting that customer live, right?
What do those resources look like? Like when you say allocated resources, is that like, hey, you need to have like one dedicated engineer?
Yeah. So I'll break it down. So typically have an engineer that's dedicated, a project manager that's dedicated that, you'll often see labeled as like an implementation specialist or implementation manager. And then you'll often have a customer success or somebody who's managing the customer relationship as well. So 3 folks oftentimes at the very least to get a customer live. And that's just to make sure that, internally you have people who are responsible and accountable for the deliverables for that customer. And then you also have the folks responsible for making sure that the customer is accountable for what they say they're going to be delivering based on the timelines that they've provided us, right? So, I mean, because it's very much a two-way street, it actually takes more bodies, more hands on our side to make sure that the needs that our customers have are met.
Right. So like some of those needs like could be general support questions, such as, hey, if I make this API call to call a transfer, but I leave out this field, what's going to happen? Because I don't want my customers to have to input this information.
Right. Yeah. And of course, it's across the board, depending on which stakeholders were involved during the sales process, right? How informed the customer's team is before they begin integrating, right? Before we have our integration kickoff, and how aligned both teams are on this precise solution that's being built. So I mean, we'll have general question, additional pricing questions sometimes, even though pricing has already been closed, right? So anywhere from pricing to just general payments knowledge, to a lot of localization, because obviously when you get in the global space, localization becomes a big deal, and you probably don't realize it until you actually start building against it.
Explain localization.
Yeah, so one of the biggest pieces of localization and payments is going to be routing information for banks. Many countries call this routing details or routing data, they call it different things. Here in the United States, we call it a routing number, right? Mm-hmm. When you get a checking account or a savings account, you have an account number and you have a routing number. Routing number is how how a payment identifies, or a bank identifies which bank they're sending a payment to.
Right.
Right. Which branch and everything.
Like, what about in Mexico?
So in Mexico, they have bank codes, but they have completely migrated to to what they call a CLABE, which is an account number that contains all of the bank routing information in it.
That's nice.
I'll just go through a couple more. I mean, in the UK, you have a sort code. In Australia, you have a BSB number. In India, you have an IFSC. And I'm not going to say IFSC code because C is code. IFSC, but everyone says IFSC code. So anyway, just to kind of give you an idea, right? Argentina, you have a CBU, which is very similar to a CLABE. So, I mean, it changes across the board. So once you start to dive into that, depending on how broad the scope is for the customer solution in regards to payment delivery, will determine how deep they need to go into localization, or how wide they need to go in localization. So that's typically a big one. And that is a continual learning experience. So we'll even see those things happen even after go live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of get into it. You start making payments to those regions. You're like, my customers they might not understand the form that I built, or they, you know what I mean?
Right.
I might be having I'm seeing that they're hitting our validation more so than I would have assumed that they would have hit, right? And it's probably because of a localization thing. So anyway, so I digress. Outside of that, obviously you have engineering questions. There's a lot of back and forth engineering questions that is totally normal and expected. And then you'll have additional, a lot of times, product questions around workflows. One of the biggest challenges in banking right now is, and has been for a long time, but one of the biggest challenges for fintechs is timing. We're not talking about crypto, so things are not virtually instant in most cases. In most cases, you're dealing with the concept of time and delays for every action that you take. So understanding what that timing is, understanding what state progressions you go through, and what that means for your product it could be a difficult thing, right? Depending on what you're trying to build.
And it seems like, I mean, we can always get better with documentation, and I think, for what it's worth, like, we're doing a lot to make it more simplistic and explain it more. But it feels like it doesn't matter what type of financial integration that you're doing. If you don't have an implementation team at the other end answering these questions and being sort of, I hate to say the word, but very consultative, right? It's likely not going to be as easy or as good of an experience for you or your customers than you would like. And I'll plug Route Fusion once. That's one of the things that we compete on. And that's also why our pricing is typically not the lowest. It
takes manpower to execute on all those consultative things, right?
Right.
And time.
Yeah.
But it's 100% worth it.
It is,
it's
because
in my opinion, it's like the only way you could do it, really.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just gonna be shooting in the dark.
Like, give us an idea, Rich. Like, so I mean, we're also on the other side of this, right? So one of the value props of Route Fusion is when you integrate into Route Fusion, you do one integration. It's a unified API, and you never have to technically, touch it ever again. Once you're integrated, you're integrated. Now, on the flip, Route Fusion is constantly adding new bank providers, new payment providers, new FX providers, new local payment rail providers, you name it. And so we're constantly doing enhancements and new integrations. And so, like, my question is, on our side, I mean, we never really get the type of support that we give people. And so what does an average integration, we've done, 12 different financial institution integrations. And so it's not our first rodeo, but even having that type of experience, if someone were to go replicate what we're doing, describe the lift that it takes one of our engineers or our team to get a new provider live. Like, what does that timeline look like?
That's a good question. I mean, the first thing you have to mention is, what is the scope of the capabilities that you're going to be integrating into the product, right?
Right. Well, and I guess even before that, you know, how long does it take to find the providers?
Yeah.
Right. So you have a whole separate process, vendor procurement, right? We have an entire team specialized in vendor procurement. So let's say the vendor procurement has already been done. Typically, for a bank, you're looking at like 6 months. For payment providers, you're looking at like 3 months vendor procurement, right? This is like vetting them, questions.
I'd say those are pretty decent timelines too. Could
Yeah.
easily go longer.
It could take a lot longer. Okay, so now skip all that.
Sure.
Now we're at the technical
So
integration
we signed a contract. We have API keys. We have access to some form of documentation, and we're kind of rearing. We're going for it.
Yep, full send.
Yeah. I mean, again, scope of capabilities, right? That's going to determine a lot, and then especially how we organize it, how we go about it. So, sorry, what the question? We're talking about timelines specifically?
Yeah, what's the timelines?
It's tough. It also depends on the technology that we're working with. I mean, we work from anything from, pretty sophisticated RESTful APIs, all the way down to interacting with SFTP for, most of the functionality that we have. So I'd say the ease of use or the level of sophistication of the partner that we're working with.
Right, plays a role.
That plays a big role. And also like how well their architecture is designed,
Richard, people are sitting on the edge of their seats, waiting to find out how long it takes.
We've completed integrations in a month, and we've completed integrations in 6 months.
I'm surprised by the 1 month answer.
But all right, hold on. By saying we've completed an integration in 1 month, how production ready was that 1 month integration?
Not. I'm saying code complete without any real live testing, which
Without
is obviously
any
the most
end-to-end.
important part, right? And that's the hardest part. So, I mean, especially with like payments companies, it's like, well, if I'm really going to test the work I just did, I really need to make payments into every region that I just integrated into my product. How the hell do I do that?
Right. You don't want to use your customers as dummies.
No, definitely not. Because
So what do you do?
So what do you do? It's a great question. You got to go procure people to send money to effectively, or businesses to send money to. So, I mean, what we've done is we actually built what we call the Route Fusion test payer network, where we actually have people that have registered to basically be quote unquote like partners or like part of this community on Route Fusion. That accept test payments from Route Fusion, and in some cases, Route Fusion's customers, if they allow us to.
So basically, you can go in and you can verify that this new integration works, these payment rails work, and then customers, candidly, they should be skeptical, even doing integration with Route Fusion. Like, hey, I want to test these things before it works, and you're saying they can leverage that payer network.
Yeah, we just need to get permission. They've officially given Route Fusion permission, but yeah, in some cases, we will ask if our customers can send payments to them. I mean, they get a few bucks, and we or our customers get the confidence of their integration, which is super important.
It's much cheaper to spend $100 doing test payments all over the place than it is to do a test payment with one of your live customers that doesn't go well. That's cool. Nice. That was a nice little segment.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of route fusion though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, happens.
no, it's people wanted to know. All right. So now that that's all done with, I bet we're gonna get some good video content there too for old LinkedIn. See what I did there?
That's what it was.
All right. Johnny said, feelings on buy now, pay later. It's a hot topic. Nabil, do you have any feelings on BNPL?
Kind of gives me the feels of check cashing services in neighborhoods with low economies.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. So it gives me the creeps.
Well,
buy now, pay later.
buy now, pay later for me, what's funny about it is it's like they tell you that there's no interest, right? It's like, oh, it's free.
That's bullshit.
But there's just a fee. And this is it's the same thing that
was going to be my question. How is the price more? Or like how do they communicate the monetization of BNPL effectively?
Well, I think it's sketchy personally because they tell you that there's no interest, but there's just a fee. But that fee is variable and it is clearly just interest.
Semantics.
Yeah.
So it's a whole wise situation.
It's just like Wise. So you have these people like, they're like, oh yeah, I did buy now, pay later. It's like, it's interest free. I just had to pay like a $50 fee. And it's like, that was your interest. Like, just do the math, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Or
I
they
think
bump up the price.
at least they know what their fee or whatever you want to call it is going to be.
No, that's a good
It's
point.
been going on for decades, though. You go to Home Depot, you sign up for their credit card. It's interest-free payments for 12 months. Is it really, though? Is it really?
To me, it's like odd that they're allowed to market it as interest-free payments.
Yeah.
In I mean, I guess the Home Depot thing's still technically buy now, pay later. Right?
No. Those are credit cards.
Those are credit cards.
That's
but
different.
But somebody is lending you the money to buy it. Somebody's fronting that money, right? It's still buy now, pay later. Me as a consumer, it's just another form of buy now, pay later.
Yes, right. Yeah, that's what credit
Right.
is. But like, that's fundamentally
The
a
interest
credit
is
card.
accruing.
That's fundamentally a
Right.
credit card. That's not BNPL. That's my point.
Yeah, I guess.
What, the interest-free?
When you get a credit card at a retail store, that is a credit card.
Yeah, no, but
yeah.
I think what he's saying is there are like, I've seen at Home Depot, like if you're going to buy new windows, right? They literally tell you like, hey, this is 12 months interest-free financing.
Instead of yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can actually like sign a contract with them for like a BNPL. Yeah. I mean, mattress stores are notorious for this.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, car companies, no payments for 3 months.
Yeah.
Right?
When we got our windows, we got Pella windows or whatever, I was talking to the sales rep and I was like, all right, man, like, first off, can I get a discount if I pay in cash? He's like, oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I'm like, cool. And do you have like, can I just like finance? Like, is there a way to do interest-free financing? He was like, yeah, you can do interest-free financing. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, what does it cost? He's like, well, instead of paying, I'm making these numbers up. Instead of paying $1,000, you're going to pay $1,500. And I was like, so it's not interest-free. But I don't get that. I don't get how they're allowed to say interest-free, but then charge interest.
Well, they aren't allowed, number one. They have to tell the consumer, and it's usually the fine print that the consumer does not read.
You sure about it? Really?
I'm pretty sure. Consumer protections.
You know who would be
Right?
good to have on here to talk about this? Sherwin.
Yeah.
We're going to bring
Call
Sherwin
out.
on. Sherwin, if you're listening to this,
So should we submit a
bringing you
bill
on.
where customer protection text needs to be in font size 12 or greater?
Whoa.
Remove fine print.
Wow, look at the guy over here.
No, I
Pro
don't
regulation.
think we need to do that. But I think what we need to do, wherever there's fine print, I think on the side of the document, you kind of have those little caption clouds saying,
Like an
hey,
annotation.
this section is important. You should really read this. And this is what it, in non-legal terms, this is what it means, right? And like highlight it. I think I've seen contracts like that. This is what this section is talking about, a little summary, right? In simple, non-legal terms. I like those kind of contracts. Like informing.
Yeah, kind of summarize
the best customer is the one that's completely informed.
Yeah, I agree. So, do you guys ever go to like your retail bank, like in person?
I try not to.
Well, I can't for my primary bank, but Frost sometimes.
I love it. I love going in and
Why?
It's just an experience, man.
Well, Frost is all about that for one.
Yeah.
And they have great customer service. That's like,
So does my
their
bank.
value
I
prop.
bank at B of A here in Texas. I
Ugh.
bank at City.
Oh,
normally.
dude, those are not good banks.
Right.
Those are the
It
big
depends.
dogs. Now you got to have a local bank.
They're-
That's where it all.
Like a regional?
Yeah, like a Frost bank.
I don't like local banks.
I mean, I still bank with Citibank, right? But I also bank with Frost.
I like Frost.
For the localization, for the local.
Yeah, when we moved to Austin, that's the first place I went was Frost. Anyways, the reason I ask, did y'all hear about J.P. Morgan?
No.
They're opening.
What did Jamie do?
They're opening 500 new brick and mortar physical branches.
Why would they do that?
This isn't the first time I'm pretty sure in the past 10 years, this is not the first time they've had a land grab.
Who are they trying to
expansion.
attract as customers by opening up physical
So get this,
branches?
they're not only opening 500 new branches, they're renovating around 1,700. I mean, have you not noticed the Chase branch right here at 5th Street and
Well, TD Bank.
Yeah.
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 TD Bank. There's another regional bank. Back when I was living in New York, they kind of made their banks like boutiques, right?
TDs were really nice.
You walk into the branch. There's somebody to welcome you, just like a retail store. Welcome to TD Bank.
it's a
How
billboard,
can I help
man.
you? Oh, you need this? Walk this way. Let me take you. And would you like some coffee while you're waiting? That's like
It's a billboard.
yeah. It's-
Frost is kind of like that.
I don't like that. I want somebody to be a traditional financial institution to give me that level of
Well-
trust that you guys know your shit. You know what you're doing with my money.
Yeah.
You're
I mean,
protecting me.
for what it's worth, like
I'm old school. I've got gray hair. That's what I want to see in the bank.
You're looking for something else.
for what it's
Yeah.
worth, like I don't think I would ever go into a physical branch like this one over here on 5th Street and like ask for like a wealth manager and like get their opinion on what I should do with my finances. But if I don't know, have cash that I need to deposit or cash that I need to withdraw or I need a money order or a cashier's check,
Oh boy.
I really enjoy walking in and just like talking to someone in person and getting my things or doing what I need to do. Grabbing at Frost, they have these little cookies and some coffee.
Are they warm like at DoubleTree?
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice. Anyways, I think they're saying, Jamie Dimon over here is zigging while others are zagging because like everybody else is closing down branches.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
cities
Are they
shut down
going to
all
own the
branches in
properties?
Texas.
Are they buying
while
property
ago.
to do this, or are they leasing
Doesn't say.
from a landlord?
Doesn't say.
Oh,
Here's
I
some.
hope not. That'd
Here's
be a
some.
mistake.
Do y'all know who the MEPS? It's a regulatory body. I don't know what it stands for.
I still can't get over the fact that Chase is opening up. How many branches?
500, I think you said.
Where? What part of the country?
All over, dude. They just opened one literally right behind our office. It's
Well, that's
nice.
been open for a little bit.
Well, that's part of the.
I need Citibank to get back to Texas. That's what I need.
That's
I know.
MEPS. I'm such a noob.
I know. I would love that.
Yeah.
What was cool is when I worked there, we had a branch in the office, which was like at the time, and still probably the only branch in Texas at the office.
Honestly,
So it's like, if you work there, it was great. But
so do y'all know what a MEP
Same.
is?
A what?
A MEP.
I don't know what a MEP is.
MEP.
it sounds familiar though.
I think it's kind of a weird nickname. Members of the European Parliament.
No, okay, never mind.
Oh.
MEPS.
Now, who calls it MEP?
I don't know. This newsletter's calling them MEPs. I'm
I think
on the
they're
FinTech
called
Radar
MEPs.
issue number 99. Anyways, you guys saw this in the news. The MEPs. New rules to ensure Euro money transfers arrive within 10 seconds. How sick is that?
Wait. When did this happen?
Just like this past week. So I'll read a little bit of
Yeah.
it. So MEPS have adopted new rules to ensure Euro money transfers arrive within 10 seconds.
So
The new regulation aims to eliminate waiting times for retail customers and businesses across the EU. Banks and other service providers will be required to process credit transfers immediately and at an affordable cost.
So basically, traditional SEPA is going to go away. Everyone has to integrate into SEPA Inst. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much.
So that does bring up, to enhance safety, PSP stands for Payment Service Providers, must have robust fraud detection and prevention measures in place, as well as strong identification verification services. Wow, that was a mouthful. Charges for instant credit transfers cannot exceed those for non-instant transfers. The regulation will enter into force 20 days after publication in the EU official journal, and member states will have 12 months to implement it.
Yeah.
That's actually that's a
it.
big deal.
I love it. I think it's
But
really great.
here's the thing: if for our U.S.-based listeners, if you ever want to know what the future of banking, both retail and commercial, looks like, just leave the U.S. for a few days. That's all you have to do.
Go to Asia.
Go to Asia. Go to Canada.
Turkey.
Go to Europe.
Go to Turkey.
Yeah, well, Turkey's Asia and Europe, right?
Yeah.
Go anywhere else, and you'll know what the future of banking looks like. It's just nuts that how far behind we are here.
Well,
And, yeah.
leapfrog effect is real.
Perfect example. When you go to Canada and you go to a restaurant and you eat your dinner and it's time to pay the bill, your credit card does not disappear.
You know what?
Somebody
though?
brings a terminal
That's-
to you.
You
But
know
that's-
what though?
that's-
And
We
you
have
do your stuff.
progressed so quickly.
that
I
was
see
like-
that almost everywhere.
Yeah,
in
that's-
Austin at
But
least.
you know how but
was
this
like
is
that
like
in
a
Canada for
10 years ago.
No, I
Yeah.
agree. Well, and,
What's
and
happening
same
elsewhere,
with Europe.
right?
Look,
I know.
I'll be honest.
That's just one
Here-
small example.
I'll be honest.
But
Sometimes I like when they bring the terminal, but other times
I know.
I would like, especially if I'm at a nice restaurant, I prefer giving them my card.
But that's just because you're used to it.
I like the experience more because it is on my time to sign, to tip.
Yeah, but
Like-
but it's less secure.
Honestly,
so how is the
that's not
experience
my
the same?
problem.
You
That's not my
ask-
problem. If my credit card number gets stolen by a waiter or a waitress and I notice the transactions because I have everything in place to ideally like see those, that's not my problem. That's Chase's problem.
Yeah,
How is
after
the
you
experience
identify
any
it,
different,
though.
Colton? I don't understand. When you're at a nice Michelin-rated restaurant
Yeah, yeah.
and you're out with your lovely wife and you're having a romantic dinner and the kids are safe at home with your parents, you're taking your time. The waiter's going to ask you if you're ready for your check, or you're going to wave the waiter down. They'll bring you an envelope and they'll rest it on the table. You put your credit card in when you're ready, and when the waiter notices that, they'll bring you a terminal. How is that any different than?
I don't like, especially in America where tipping culture is so big. I don't like tipping in front of the waiter.
Yeah, that's the biggest problem.
Okay,
with that.
so in Canada, the waiter walks away. You're left with the
Oh,
terminal.
now that is different.
That's really
You
nice.
know what? That's right. I forgot
And
about
some
The
that.
waiter does not
establishments-
stand over your table,
And
waiting
that's
for
what
the
I-
terminal to
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
Okay, if that was the experience that I had every time,
Yeah.
I have zero
And
problems.
we get some establishments in Austin do that, but most
I don't know that I've had someone do that.
Snooze does that.
You go to
Snooze does that?
next time.
Certain. And I know other places.
During my annual trip to Toronto in August, you guys are more than welcome to come. We'll go have a good time. You'll see for yourself.
Did you ask for time off?
I'm taking time off. Last year, I worked through my vacation.
I have a feeling you're going to work through your vacation again.
Yeah.
Just like I am.
I don't think I've taken a proper vacation in multiple
I don't think
years.
any of us have.
Not since I joined Rap Fusion.
I mean, honestly, like we're going to Europe in May and for the Taylor Swift concert in Portugal. But we're going to stop in the UK. We're going to go say what's up to John Hammond. We're going to go say what's up to a couple of our banking providers. We're going to hop over to Paris. We're going to go say what's up to a couple customers. And then we're going to go to Portugal. And then it's going to be, I don't think we have any customers in Portugal. Do we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Actually, I think we have some contacts in Portugal. Our customers not.
Oh, you know who's in Portugal? Remote.com.
Yes, that's right.
They are.
But they're
I
not.
love
They're
those
not a
guys.
customer. That was
They're not a customer. Long story. Actually, there
long
is no
time
story.
ago. No, they're just
They're just not a customer.
yeah, up and down.
But those guys are great, super smart.
Yeah, we use
They
remote.
are. Yeah, they're good.
We use
remote.
remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, remote. If you if anyone from remote is listening to this, hit us up. Let's get you guys going.
Yeah.
My watch is telling me to stand up.
Yep. All right, guys. It is 10:52 on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. We're going to sign off here. We got Nabil Cuddy Siddiqui. We got Rich, the Scap Daddy Scapatici.
He hates that name.
I know he hates it. And I'm Colton. We'll see you guys next week.
I'm your